In the quiet village of Umwoozala, where ancient trees remembered more than people, the night carried two screams. The first tore through the darkness like a knife through cloth, sharp, desperate, full of terror. The second came moments later, lighter, almost joyful, as if someone had won a secret battle. Villagers bolted from their mats, hearts pounding, but none dared step outside. The screams had come from the direction of the old silk cotton tree, a place where curses never slept and spirits gathered to witness human foolishness. By dawn, when courage finally returned, they found her. Nena, the gentle girl with kind eyes, lay beneath the tree's roots, her wrapper twisted around her body, her face frozen in surprise. She was still, too still. Her cousin Ogana stood nearby, trembling, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I saw it," she wailed to the gathering crowd. "A spirit dragged her. I tried to save her, but it was too strong." The village elder knelt beside Nena's body, pressing his ear to her chest. He listened for a long time, then rose slowly, his face grave. "This is not natural death," he whispered. Hours before the screams, before the death, before the terror, there had been only jealousy. Nina had arrived home that evening carrying good news like a basket of ripe fruit. The city women's apprenticeship program had chosen her. Out of 50 girls from 5 villages, they had chosen humble, quiet Nena. She would learn trading, bookkeeping, and city ways. She would bring honor to Umwoozala. Her mother wept with joy, her friends danced. But Ogana, her cousin, felt poison bloom in her chest. Ogana had applied too. Ogana was older, sharper, more beautiful, yet they had chosen Nena. The insult burned like pepper in an open wound. That night, Ogana followed Nena to the old silk cotton tree, where the girl had gone to thank the ancestors. "You think you're special?" Ogana hissed from the shadows. Nena turned surprised. "Cousin, I only—" "You stole my destiny!" Ogana's voice rose, wild and cracked. She pressed her palm against the tree's rough bark and spoke words that should never be spoken. Words taught to her by a woman the village had banished. A curse. Specific. Cruel. The wind lashed suddenly, violently, as if answering her rage. Mama Ifeoma refused to believe. She held her daughter's cold hand and shook her head again and again. "No, no. My Nena does not leave like this." The villagers tried to pull her away gently. They prepared the body for burial, wrapping it in white cloth, but Mama Ifeoma would not stop crying. The village seer, an old woman with clouded eyes and sharp intuition, came to the grieving mother. She burned bitter herbs and stared at Nena's covered face for a long time. "Your child walks between two worlds. She is neither fully dead nor fully alive." Mama Ifeoma grabbed the woman's wrapper. "Then bring her back. Do something." "I cannot. The path she walks is not mine to follow. But listen closely, woman. Something strange has begun." That night, long after the mourners left, Mama Ifeoma lay on her mat exhausted from weeping. Then she heard it. Knock, knock, knock. Soft, but persistent. She sat up, heart racing. The knocking came from the door, and then faint, as smoke. A voice. "Mama, Mama, open the door." It was Nena's voice. Mama Ifeoma screamed.
The burial happened quickly, too quickly, some whispered. The elders insisted the body must go into the ground before the third sunrise, as custom demanded. Ogana cried loudly during the ceremony, louder than anyone else, throwing herself dramatically on the coffin. Some women praised her devotion. Others watched her with narrow eyes. They lowered Anina into the red earth near the edge of the village. Prayers were said. Palm wine was poured. Soil was packed. By evening, the grave stood finished, marked with a simple wooden cross. But that night the sky opened. Rain fell in sheets, hammering the ground, washing over roofs and paths. It raged until dawn. When the sun finally rose, a young boy running to fetch firewood stumbled upon something shocking. He ran back screaming. The villagers followed him to Anina's grave. The soil had been washed away in rivers of mud. The coffin lay exposed, and when the elders pried it open with trembling hands, they found it empty. No body, no bones. Only the white burial cloth, neatly folded, as if someone had left it behind intentionally. Then someone noticed the footprints. Fresh. Human. Leading away from the grave toward the main road. Far from Umuozala, in the bustling city of Ekeoba, a different story was unfolding. Obieri, a wealthy young trader known for his sharp mind and kind heart, returned home after months of traveling. His mother, elderly and wise, greeted him at the gate, but she was not smiling. "My son," she said slowly, "who is this woman?" Behind Obieri stood a girl. She was beautiful in a quiet way, with gentle eyes and graceful movements. She carried herself like someone who had been taught humility. "Mother, this is Chinwe, my wife." Obieri's mother's face tightened. "You married without telling me?" "Forgive me, Mama. I met her in the Western markets. She had no family, no home. I could not leave her." The girl, Chinwe, bowed respectfully. "Greetings, Mother. I am honored to serve you." Obieri's mother studied her carefully. Something about this girl felt wrong. Not evil, but wrong, like a song sung in the wrong key. That night, as Chinwe helped prepare the evening meal, the older woman pulled her son aside. "My son," she whispered, her voice urgent. "That girl walks like a spirit. Her feet barely touch the ground." Strange things began the very next day. Chinwe stood before the tall mirror in Obieri's sitting room, adjusting her wrapper. She turned and the mirror exploded. Glass shattered outward like frozen water breaking, pieces scattering across the floor. Chinwe stumbled backward, hand pressed to her chest, breathing hard. Obieri rushed in. "What happened?" "I don't know," Chinwe's voice trembled. "I only looked, and it broke." Obieri's mother appeared in the doorway, her face unreadable. She said nothing but swept the glass herself, whispering prayers under her breath. Later that afternoon, Chinwe wandered through the compound. Everything felt strange, familiar yet foreign. She paused near the kitchen and stared at the iron pots. "Why does this place feel like I've been here before?" she whispered. That evening, while fetching water, dizziness struck her like a stone. She collapsed. In her mind, images flashed. A massive tree with roots like arms. A girl screaming. Hands reaching. Darkness swallowing light. When she woke, Obieri was holding her, his face pale with worry. "You fainted. Should I call a healer?" Chinwe stared past him, her voice distant. "I saw a tree. A silk cotton tree." Obieri could not ignore the signs any longer. That night he sat Chinwe down and asked the questions he had been avoiding. "Chinwe, where are you truly from?" She hesitated. "I told you I have no family. I grew up in the West." "Do you remember the name of your village?" She frowned, struggling. I don't remember much. It feels like fog." "Have you ever been to Umuozala?" Her head snapped up. "No, I don't think so. Why?" "Because you described it." Her confusion was real. "I did." "Yes, yesterday when you spoke about the market, you described Umuozala's layout perfectly. The yam stalls on the left, the blacksmith near the well. You've been there." Chinwe's hands trembled. "But I haven't. I swear." Obieri watched her closely, searching for deception. He found only fear. That night, after Chinwe fell asleep, Obieri made a decision. He packed a small bag, left instructions with his mother, and set out before dawn. He would travel to Umuozala himself. He would find answers, because the woman he married was either hiding something terrible, or something terrible was hiding inside her.
The city had its own seers, men and women who saw beyond sight. One such man was Ozo, a blind prophet who walked the streets with a wooden staff, his ears sharp as blades. He survived by blessing travelers and warning merchants of bad deals. One afternoon, Ozo passed near Obieri's compound. He paused suddenly, sniffing the air like a dog catching scent. Chinwe happened to be standing near the gate, humming softly as she swept. Ozo's face twisted. His staff hit the ground hard. "You," he said, voice cracking. "Woman, come here." Chinwe approached cautiously. "Do you need help, elder?" Ozo reached out and grabbed her wrist. His grip was firm, cold. He tilted his head, listening not with ears, but with something deeper. "You carry the scent of the dead who returned," he whispered. Chinwe's heart froze. "What do you mean? You were not always in that body. You crossed from the other side." Chinwe yanked her hand back. "You're mistaken. I'm alive. I've always been alive." But Ozo smiled sadly. "Returned from where, you ask? From the place where the silk cotton tree grows, from the place where jealousy made a grave." Obieri arrived in Umuozala at midday. The village felt heavy, like a place still mourning. He asked for the elder's compound and was led to a gathering of men smoking pipes beneath a thatched shelter. "I come seeking information," Obieri said respectfully, "about a girl, Nena." The men exchanged glances. One elder, gray-haired and weary, gestured for him to sit. "Nena is dead." Obieri's chest tightened. "When?" 2 weeks ago, found beneath the silk cotton tree. Strange death, unnatural. "Tell me everything." They did. The screams, the cousin who claimed a spirit attacked, the burial, the rain, the empty coffin, the footprints leading away. When they finished, Obieri's hands were shaking. "Do you have anything that belonged to her? Cloth, jewelry?" An old woman brought a folded wrapper, deep blue with yellow patterns. The same pattern Obieri had seen Chinwe wearing just days ago. He stared at it, his mind unraveling. Where did she get this? It was hers. Her mother gave it to her before she what? Before she died. Obieri stood abruptly. "Take me to her mother." The elder hesitated. "Be careful, stranger. Mama Ifioma is broken. Grief has made her see things." Mama Ifioma sat in her dim compound, staring at nothing. Her face was hollow, her eyes red and dry from crying too much. When Obieri was brought to her, she barely looked up. "Mama," Obieri said gently, kneeling before her, "I need to ask about your daughter." "My daughter is dead." Her voice was flat. "But I think she may not be." Mama Ifioma's eyes focused suddenly, sharp as knives. "What did you say?" Obieri reached into his bag and pulled out a small photograph, something he had taken of Chinwe back in the city. He handed it to the grieving mother. Mama Ifioma looked at it. Her breath stopped. Her hands began to shake violently. Then she screamed, "That is my daughter. That is Nena. Where is she? Where is she?" Obieri caught her before she collapsed. "She is alive, Mama. She is in the city. She is my wife." Mama Ifioma clutched his shirt, sobbing, laughing, screaming all at once. "My child lives? My child lives?" "But she doesn't remember you. She doesn't remember this place. She calls herself Chinwe." Mama Ifioma pulled back, her face full of wild hope and terror. "Then bring her to me. Bring my daughter home." Ogana had been avoiding the village square. She stayed in her compound, claiming illness, but really she was hiding. Hiding from the questions, hiding from the stares. Then she heard the news. A man from the city had come asking about Nena. He claimed she was alive. Panic seized Ogana's chest like a fist. She paced her room, heart pounding. It wasn't possible. Nena was dead. She had seen her body. She had watched them bury her. But then she remembered the empty coffin, the footprints. Ogana looked down at her wrist. The bruise was still there, the one that had appeared the night she cursed Nena. It was darker now, and it burned. She touched it and gasped. It was hot, like metal left in the sun. That night, Ogana tried to sleep but couldn't. She heard whispers outside her window, footsteps circling her compound. At midnight, she heard it clearly. A voice. Soft. Familiar. Ogana, why did you do it? Ogana's blood turned to ice. She knew that voice. It was Nena's. She covered her ears and wept. And from the edge of the forest, the old silk cotton tree seemed to whisper her name again and again.
In the city, Chinwe's dreams grew worse. Every night she drowned. Red water filled her lungs. Voices chanted her name. Or was it another name? She couldn't tell. Hands reached for her, pulling her down, deeper and deeper into a river that had no bottom. Then, one night, the dream changed. A woman appeared in the water. She was old, wrapped in white, her eyes glowing faintly. She reached out and touched Chinwe's forehead. The touch burned, but not painfully. It burned like truth. "Finish what was stolen," the woman said. Her voice echoed, ancient and unmovable. "What was stolen?" Chinwe gasped. "Who are you?" "You know who I am, and you know what was taken. Awaken, child. Awaken and remember." The woman pressed harder. Light exploded behind Chinwe's eyes. Images rushed in. A village, a mother's face, a tree, a cousin's sneer, a curse, darkness. Chinwe woke screaming. Obieri bolted upright beside her. "Chinwe, what's wrong?" She turned to him, tears streaming, her voice breaking. My name isn't Chinwe." And then, without thinking, she began to sing. A soft, old song. A lullaby her mother used to hum when she was small. A lullaby only Nena would know. The city marketplace was always loud, full of traders shouting prices and women bargaining for the best yams. Chinwe walked through it slowly, still shaken from the night's dream. She needed air, needed to think. But as she passed a stall selling dried fish, an old woman froze. The woman's basket fell from her hands. Fish scattered across the ground. She pointed at Chinwe, her mouth open, her face pale. "You," the woman breathed. "You are the dead girl from Umozala." Chinwe stopped. "What did you say?" The old woman stumbled backward. "I was there. I saw them bury you. I saw your mother weep." Heads turned. Whispers spread like wildfire. Within moments, a crowd formed around Chinwe. People stared, pointed, murmured. "Spirit bride, walking corpse. She died and came back." Chinwe's chest tightened. She wanted to run, but her legs wouldn't move. A young man pushed through the crowd. "Leave her alone, she's just a woman." But the old woman shook her head violently. "No, she is not just a woman. She is the one who should be in the grave." The crowd pressed closer, and Chinwe finally found her voice. She screamed. That night, the spirit woman returned. Chinwe didn't sleep. She sat by the window, staring into the darkness, too afraid to close her eyes. Then the air changed. It grew cold, thick, heavy with presence. The woman appeared, not in a dream this time, but standing in the room, real, solid, glowing faintly like moonlight on water. "You are awake," the woman said. Chinwe's voice trembled. "What do you want from me?" "I want nothing. I come to tell you why you live." "Why?"
The woman stepped closer. Her face was kind, but her eyes held ancient sorrow. You are living because justice has not been delivered. A curse was spoken, a life was stolen, the balance was broken. Until the one who broke it pays, you will walk this earth. Chinwe shook her head. I don't understand. Who cursed me? You know. I don't. The woman's voice hardened. Your killer walks free. She smiles while you suffer. She sleeps while you drown in dreams. She pretends to mourn while her hands are stained. Chinwe's breath caught. Who? The spirit woman leaned close and whispered a name. Ogona. Then she vanished, leaving only cold air behind. When Obieri returned from Umozala, he found Chinwe sitting outside, her eyes distant and red from crying. He sat beside her, exhausted from travel. For a long time, neither spoke. Finally, Obieri broke the silence. I went to your village. Chinwe heard her head slowly. My village? Umozala. I spoke to the elders. I spoke to your mother. Her breath hitched. My mother? He pulled out the folded blue wrapper and placed it in her lap. Chinwe stared at it. Her fingers traced the yellow patterns. Something inside her chest cracked open. Pain, sharp and overwhelming. Memories tried to push through the fog, but they were tangled, broken. They said you died, Obieri continued softly. They buried you, but the coffin was found empty. Chinwe's hands trembled. I don't remember dying. Your mother recognized you. From the photograph. She wept. She screamed. She called you Nena. The name struck like lightning. Chinwe gasped, clutching her chest. Nena? That's your real name, isn't it? Tears streamed down her face. She didn't know why. She didn't know how. But she nodded. Take me there, she whispered. Take me to the village. When Chinwe arrived in Umozala, the village erupted. Women screamed. Children ran. Men grabbed their machetes thinking a spirit had come to haunt them. She's alive, someone shouted. The dead girl walks. Chinwe stood frozen in the center of the compound, overwhelmed by the chaos. Then she saw her. Mama Ifeoma pushed through the crowd, her face a mix of terror and desperate hope. Nena? She whispered. Chinwe's lips parted. She didn't know why, but the word came naturally. Mama? Mama Ifeoma ran. She crashed into Chinwe, wrapping her arms around her, sobbing into her shoulder. My child, you came back to me. She held her, tears falling, her body remembering even if her mind did not. I don't understand what's happening. I don't know who I am. You are my daughter. You are Nena. And someone took you from me. The crowd parted suddenly. The old silk cotton tree at the edge of the village began to shake. Not from wind. There was no wind. It shook as if something under it was waking. Thunder cracked across the clear sky. The villagers fell silent, eyes wide with fear. The spirits were listening.
The village elder called an emergency council. Everyone gathered beneath the meeting shelter, but all eyes were on one person, Ogona. She sat on a low stool, her face pale, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. The elder pointed his staff at her. Ogona, you were the last to see Nenena alive. You claimed a spirit attacked her, but now she has returned. Speak, what really happened that night? Ogona's voice was small. I told you, a spirit dragged her. I tried to help. Lies! Someone hissed from the crowd. Then explain this. A woman pulled up Ogona's sleeve, revealing the dark bruise on her wrist. It was no longer just a bruise. It glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. Ogona yanked her arm back. It's nothing, a mark from work. The elder stepped closer. That is a curse mark. The tree leaves it on those who speak forbidden words. Ogona's breathing quickened.
I didn't curse anyone. Then Chinwei stood. Her voice was quiet but firm. She walked forward slowly, her eyes locked on Agona. The crowd fell silent. Chinwei stopped directly in front of her cousin. And then, without hesitation, she pointed. You killed me. The sky answered. Thunder cracked so loud that the ground trembled. But there were no clouds. The sun still shone. Yet the sound rolled across the village like the voice of something ancient and furious. People fell to their knees, covering their ears. The old silk cotton tree at the edge of the clearing began to bleed. Not blood. Sap. Thick, dark sap oozed from its bark, dripping onto the roots, pooling in the soil. Children screamed. Mothers grabbed them and ran. But the elders stood firm, eyes wide, watching. They knew what this meant. The spirits were gathering. Agona tried to stand, tried to run, but her legs wouldn't obey. She collapsed back into the stool, shaking violently. No, she whispered. No, no, no. A voice boomed across the clearing. It came from everywhere and nowhere. Deep, layered, as if 100 voices spoke as one. Bring the guilty. The elder stepped back, his face pale. He pointed at Agona. The tree has spoken. You must go to it. Agona shook her head frantically. I won't. I didn't do anything. But the ground beneath her began to move, pulling her forward, dragging her toward the tree. She clawed at the dirt, screaming. Agona ran. Fear gave her strength. She broke free from the invisible pole and bolted toward the forest, her breath ragged, her heart pounding like a drum. She didn't know where she was going. She only knew she had to escape. But the forest was no longer familiar. Trees twisted, paths disappeared, shadows moved where there should be none, and everywhere she looked she saw Nenena's face. On the bark of trees, in the shimmer of leaves, in the reflection of puddles. Nenena stared at her, silent and accusing. Leave me alone, Agona screamed, stumbling over roots. You're not real. But the faces only multiplied. Ogona's lungs burned, her legs gave out. She collapsed in the dirt, gasping, sobbing. When she looked up, she realized where she was. The base of the silk cotton tree. She had run in a circle, or the forest had led her here. The tree loomed above her, massive and ancient, its roots coiling like serpents. The sap still dripped, black and thick. Ogona tried to crawl away, but the roots moved. They wrapped around her ankles. She screamed, Please, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. But the tree did not forgive. The roots pulled her closer. The villagers arrived just as the tree opened. Not like a door, like a mouth. The bark split down the center, revealing darkness inside, a darkness that breathed. Spirits poured out, not visible as bodies, but as light, as wind, as pression in the air. They circled Agona, who lay pinned by the roots, sobbing uncontrollably. The elder stepped forward, trembling but resolute. Great spirits, we seek justice, not vengeance. The voices answered, layered and echoing. Justice and vengeance are the same when the guilty refuse truth. The spirits began to replay the night of the curse. Images flickered in the air like smoke given shape. Agona standing beneath the tree. Nenena approaching. The argument, the jealousy twisting Ogona's face. Her hand pressing the bark. Her lips forming the curse. You stole my destiny. Let it choke you. Let it drag you down. Let you die forgotten. The words hung in the air. The villagers gasped. Agona wept. I was angry. I didn't think it would work. The spirits' voices hardened. Intention does not matter. Words spoken here carry weight. You poisoned the balance. Now balance
demands payment. The spirits circled tighter. Let her face what she wished. Ogona's scream tore through the clearing, her body convulsed. The curse mark on her wrist began to spread, creeping up her arm like black veins, pulsing with dark light. She clawed at it, trying to scrape it off, but it only grew faster. Her voice cracked, then vanished entirely. She opened her mouth to scream again, but no sound came. The curse that she had spoken, the one meant to choke Nanena, now wrapped around her own throat. Invisible, unbreakable. Her eyes bulged. She gasped for air that wouldn't come. The roots tightened, dragging her toward the opening in the tree. She fought. She clawed at the dirt. But the roots were stronger. The villagers watched, frozen between horror and awe. This was justice. Ancient. Absolute. Terrifying. Ogona's body was pulled inside the tree. The bark closed around her like skin healing over a wound. Her muffled screams faded. Silence fell. The elder bowed his head. It is done. The curse mark on Ogona's wrist, the last visible part of her, glowed once. Then it went dark. The tree stood still again, as if nothing had happened. But everyone knew. Ogona was gone. Taken. Judged. And the spirits were satisfied.
Chinwe stood before the tree, her breath shallow. She felt something pulling her forward, not the roots, something deeper, a calling. She reached out and pressed her palm against the bark. The moment she touched it, the world exploded with light. Memories flooded in like a dam breaking. She saw everything. Her childhood in Umazala, her mother's lullabies, her acceptance into the apprenticeship program, Ogona's jealous eyes, the argument beneath the tree, the curse, the feeling of being dragged down into cold darkness, the spirit realm, a choice offered by the ancestors, a second chance, a body waiting. Chinwe's body, a girl who had died in the city the same night, her soul already departed. The ancestors placed Nena's spirit inside, a bridge, a second life. When the light faded, Chinwe collapsed to her knees, gasping. Obieri caught her. "Are you all right?" She looked up at him, tears streaming. I remember everything." Mama Ifeoma knelt beside her. "My daughter." "But who am I now?" Chinwe whispered, her voice breaking. "Am I a Nena? Am I Chinwe? Whose life am I living?" The elder approached slowly. "You are both, and you are neither. You are something new." The spirit woman appeared one final time, visible now to everyone. She stood before the tree, radiant and calm. The villagers bowed. She was an ancestor. Ancient, powerful. "Listen well," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "Anena was never meant to die. She was chosen long before birth." The elder's eyes widened. "A bridge child?" "Yes, one destined to unite the city and the village. Her bloodline carries ties to both. Her death threatened a covenant made generations ago between the spirits of this land and the traders of the coast." Mama Ifeoma gasped. "Then why did she die?" "Because jealousy is a poison that infects even destiny. Agana's curse broke the balance. Anena's soul was pulled from her body before her work was finished." The spirit turned to Chinwe. "Your soul split. One part crossed into death, one part remained searching. It found a vessel, a body whose spirit had just departed. You were reborn, child, not as a Nena, not as Chinwe, but as both." Tears fell from Chinwe's eyes. "Why didn't I remember?" "Because crossing changes you. Memory is fragile, but the spirits guided you back, and now you must choose." "Choose what?" "What happens next?" The spirit woman's gaze softened. "The body you now wear belonged to a girl named Chinwe. She was kind. She was alone. She died of fever in the city on the same night you were cursed." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Obieri's face went pale. When her spirit departed, the woman continued, her body remained, empty, waiting. Your wandering soul, desperate to return, found it. The ancestors allowed the joining. Your spirit, her body, a new life. Chinwei stared at her hands, trembling. So I died, but I didn't? Your original body lies in the spirit realm, but your soul lives here, in Chinwei's flesh. You are alive because she gave you shelter, even in death. The crowd fell silent, absorbing the impossible truth. Obieri knelt beside Chinwei, taking her hand. Then you are real. You are here. That's all that matters. Suddenly, Chinwei's face began to shimmer. For a brief, terrifying moment, her faces shifted. The villagers screamed. They saw both faces at once, Anena and Chinwei, layered over each other like two images painted on glass. Then it stopped. She was herself again. One face, one body, one life. But the message was clear. She was no longer just one person. She was two souls woven together by fate. The spirit woman raised her hand, and silence fell. Now, child, you must choose. You have been given a rare gift. 2 lives, 2 paths. Chinwei looked up, her heart pounding. What are my choices? You may stay in this body and live the destiny that was interrupted. Marry, build, unite the city and the village as was foretold. Finish what was stolen from you. Chinwei glanced at Obieri, at her mother, at the villagers watching with bated breath. Or? The spirit's voice grew somber. Or you may cross to the ancestors and end your suffering. Rest. Be whole in the spirit realm. Let this life go. The clearing was silent. Chinwei closed her eyes. She felt the pull of both worlds, the peace of the ancestors, the pain and beauty of the living. She thought of her mother's tears, of Obieri's steady hand, of the city and the village, divided for too long. She opened her eyes. I choose life. The spirit woman smiled. Then live well, bridge child. Honor both the girl you were and the girl who gave you shelter. Your destiny is yours now. The spirits faded. The tree grew still. The elder stepped forward, his voice solemn. When the dead live again, is it a blessing or a warning? No one answered, because the answer was both.